Alright. Okay, everybody. So, here's what's going on. AMD Threadripper is going to be released here. They're saying around August 10th is the release date. This thing will be out for you guys to purchase. I'm sure there is some pre-orders that you can get, but here's some specs on the thing. Okay, so we're coming in with the 16-core 1950X and the 12-core 1920X are going to be the ones that are released. They're saying the 1950X is going to be $999 and the 1920X is going to be $799. Alright, so that thing's going to be released soon. There are 9 different SKUs from 10 to 16, but they are all coming with 32 megabytes of L3 cache and 64 PCI lanes. I'll say one thing, these 64 PCI lanes, you guys out there are gonna be able to do some mining. All you miners out there are gonna be able to do some mining. So you got all them PCI lanes to build your little miner racks. And I'm saying if you pair this thing with some of these new Vega cards, I'm saying these Vega cards they're gonna be a very good graphics card for mining, just because of the compute power that they have. I'm saying they're going to be great miners. Let's throw that out there. Anyways, okay, so the SKU is 4,094 pins. It is a monster. The Threadripper has that many pins. It is a LGA, a land grid array. So I mean LGA sockets. I mean, we all know about those, right? Okay, so 16 cores, the 12, 14, 16, and 18's cores coming out. And here we go. Okay, so there's going to be the Ryzen Threadripper 1900. It's going to have 10 cores, 20 threads. It's going to come in around 3.1 gigahertz with their turbo clock, and they all have the L3 32 megabits of cache, and all of them have 64 PCI lanes. The only difference here is the 1900 to the 1930. They have 125 watts, so TDP. Alright, so the 1920X comes in at a little higher, same 10 cores, 20 threads, 3.6 gigahertz. Same 32, 64, 125 watts. Okay, now the 1930X, it is your 12 cores with 24 threads, 3.6 gigahertz, and 32, 64, and 125. But I will say, so you got the 1920X that is 3.5 with the 4 gigahertz boost clock. That is rather nice, I can say right there. And so coming in now is the 1940X, which is your 14 cores, 28 threads, and it's coming in at 3.5 gigahertz, same 32, 64, but now 155 watt TDP. So it's a little higher on the wattage, but they're already saying that I think Noctua's got an air cooler, and some of your other your rebranded water coolers, it's gonna come with a bracket to make those fit, because of the circular Antec ones are gonna work. It's just a different bracket, but they're saying that the actual plate that goes against this is gonna fit. So anyways, okay, so now the 1950, 16 cores, 32 threads, 3.2 gigahertz, and 32 megabytes, 64-bit 155 TDP. Okay, now the Ryzen Threadripper 1950X, the big boy of them all, you know, it's the compute power of this century. It's coming in at 3.4 gigahertz, but a 4 gigahertz turbo clock, 32, 64, 155. Okay, now these things are all overclockable. AMD is rather good about that. They let you overclock almost just about anything. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can overclock all the AMD chips. I'm not sure, actually. Anyways, okay, so they're saying that the Threadripper's 32 megabytes of L3 cache is across the board, along with 512 kilobytes of L2 cache per core, putting it in at 16 cores. The chip's at 40 megabytes of total L2 and L3 cache. So there's 40 megabytes of total L2 and L3 cache. Lots of megabytes right there, huh? The 12-core CPUs will respectively have 125 watt TDP And the top spec 14 and 16 core monitors are 155 TDP. So the more cores, we're getting the higher wattages. You got more cores, the power there, right? Okay. Now the Core i9 is going to be getting hit hard, kind of. I mean, they have their 6-core, 8, 10, and their Skylake X chips with the TDPs of around 140 watts. So they are a little less. The TDPs are a little less. But they're having some trouble. I mean, they're not supporting all the processors aren't supporting quad channel memory like the Threadripper is. They have anywhere from 24 to I think 44 PCI lanes, something like that. So you got less PCI lanes, but you do got higher clock speeds on the Intel. I will say that Intels usually have higher clock speeds, and they're usually pretty stable. But anyways, okay, so this thing is going to be running the DDR4 in quad channel. It does support up to quad channel. Okay, so Geekbench database, which has since been taken down, showed a 16-core Threadripper SKU, the 1950X clocking at a 3.4 gigahertz. They're saying, sadly, it is not currently known whether the 4,167 single score and the 24,539 multi-core score the chip received are the result of a performance benchmark or simply a test to run a gauge the platform stability. Okay, now I will say I'm reading this off PC Games, and they're talking about the anyways, I just realized that I had my YouTube channel up on here. I was just looking at it. I didn't even notice. But anyways, okay, so we'll pop this over here instead. This is what I am looking at. Alright, so the other issue is that the socket is that they are difficult and therefore costly to manufacture, and because of those 4,094 pins that are going to be a whole lot of more broken RMA boards coming back to the manufacturers and retailers. Okay, so Paul's Hardware was out there and he did a video on how to install the Threadripper. It looks like he is one of the very few that has actually got a Threadripper. And it comes in, you know, like that big old package, and then when they actually takes it out of the case, he takes it out and it's still in like a plastic shell around it, like a sleeve around it. And you unscrew it from 3, 2, 1. You pop the thing open. You slide out the plastic sleeve inside of the rails of the latch that holds down the processor. Then you slide the processor in, and you press the thing down, and then you screw it back 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure that's correct. If I'm wrong, go watch Paul's Hardware. He does a video on how to actually install the thing. So I will say, I mean, it is no longer just pop the thing open, take your little plastic piece out, pop the thing back down, and clip your little latch in. It is not that. I mean, if you've ever worked on a car, you got to do things in a certain sequence, like heads. So say you do a car's heads, you bolt it from the center out, right? So now this thing has a sequence that you have to follow in order to install the thing properly. And I'm sure some people aren't going to read the directions or not going to watch the video that Paul made that tells you how to install this thing, which I think with something like this, something this expensive, and with that many pins, I mean, it is the LGA, but you got to worry about the motherboard's pins here. So you really need to do it right. Again, I think it's loosen 3, 2, 1, tighten 1, 2, 3. If I'm wrong, I apologize. It's one way or the other. I don't remember off the hand right now. Anyways, okay, so it is the X399 chipset. It is the TR4 socket, you know, Threadripper 4, you know, like Ryzen AM4 socket. Okay, so let's see what else they have to say. Ryan, project manager, James Pryor had questioned Intel's methods, saying that with AMD's unified approach, users won't have to change motherboard in a year because we've added an extra pin to the socket. So what I mean, that's my problem. Are we gonna have to go out there, and are we gonna, as soon as we get Threadripper? I mean, look, as soon as we all got Ryzen, they came out with Threadripper, right? As soon as we all went to X2 or a Z270, they came out with the i9, the X299 chipset. So what, a year from now, am I gonna have to buy a whole new thing to be up to times? Why can't they just do a processor for 2 years, but better that chipset for 2 years instead of every year getting a new chipset? Better the processor in that chipset every 2 years. I mean, the way these things are flying. I mean, should I buy now? Because by the time everyone buys or everyone does the reviews, how am I gonna know that's the chip for me unless I wait 5 months and then I buy it in 5 months after everyone's done with the reviews and everyone's done and all the forums are up about it and I can actually figure out if I want this thing or not, and then I buy it and then 6 months later they come out with a new chipset that's twice as good, twice as fast, twice the computing power. How am I supposed to know? I mean, everything moves so fast in technology, you kind of just got to go with it. I mean, right now, I am looking into a Ryzen 1800. I really think, I mean, they've worked out all their BIOSes, and that's another thing. This AMD BIOS, what's the deal with that? I mean, what's gonna happen? The new Threadripper BIOS, how many times are they gonna have to fix that one? Because that's probably what they're doing right now. They've probably got everything all manufactured, but they're trying to figure out the BIOS, because if you don't have a stable BIOS, you're not gonna have a stable clock, you're not gonna have stable RAM. So I'm sure there are going to be some kinks to work out there, and everyone's going to have some problems, and there's going to be some BIOS updates. But again, I'm saying it's probably worth it. I mean, the compute power, nobody knows. Once that first review's out and it gets its 1 million views, I'm sure everyone's going to know the truth about it, and they're going to know whether to buy or not, because there's trusted sources that we all listen to, and there's 3 main guys that I listen to, actually 4 main guys I listen to, and they're smart guys, and I listen to you guys. You know who you're talking about. I mean, you guys have all the viewers on YouTube. I get my information from you guys. You guys get the products first. You guys know what you're talking about. I'm just throwing some specs out here. Anyways, alright, so this is PC Games. This is their words. So we'll read something. They're saying the 1950X benchmark scores suggested the most powerful of performance. In fact, AMD's octa-core Ryzen 7 1700 scored much higher on Geekbench database with a single core score of 6,103 and a multi-core score of 33,591 to Threadripper's 4,167 and its 24,539. So they're saying the 1700 actually scored higher. So what the 1800 score? Because that one's supposed to be better, right? Okay, so anyways, let's keep going here. AMD also said that both their 16-core 1950Xs and their 12-core 1950Xs will outperform Intel's 10-core i9 7900X in Cinebench. Well, that's lucky considering they've got a few extra cores and threads to play with. Okay, so yeah, it's going to render better, supposedly, right? They're saying it's going to render better. Which, if you're a content creator, you have a reason for buying this processor, right? You have a reason for buying these i9s and these high core counts, because Adobe, any of these, they utilize these cores. And I read a forum where anything after about 10 cores, it doesn't really matter, and then it has to do with clock speeds, right? It loves, say Adobe loves RAM, clock speeds, and cores. I have 8 cores, and there is not, I don't say there's any threads. They say there's threads, but it's actually 4 cores and 4 threads. It's a 8370 FX8370. Anyways, so it does pretty good. I got it clocked at 4.5. I'm running about 104 degrees, or what is that, 30 to 40 Celsius, right? So, and it's kind of a hot processor, and especially when I render something out, it definitely shows on what I'm doing. I mean, the processor is just working hard, right? So anyways, I want to move to a Ryzen, probably an 1800. But with all this coming out, I want to wait and see. Should I go with the i9? Should I go with the threadripper? Should I go with the Ryzen 1800? What should I do, right? So we're just waiting to find out all these scores before we buy. I know that's what the majority of us are doing. We're just waiting to see what we should do. But as soon as we do it, there's probably going to be a new chipset. So that's just something we got to live with. Okay, so there you go. They're saying that it's coming in at here $1,000 and $700, right? Something like that. Let's just make sure I was right. Okay, right here. 16-core 1950X will be at $999, and the 12-core 1920X will be at $799. So we're looking at August 10th, right? August 10th is when they're saying it's going to be released. And when rumors backflying in March, it also seemed to be good, true. Straight after the release of Ryzen chips, surely this wouldn't release a 16-core CPU core, would they? Yes. Okay, so as soon as they released Ryzen, they came out with a new chipset. Awesome. I'm glad all those... I didn't move to Ryzen, but for you guys to move to Ryzen, I mean... it's an enthusiast platform. X399 is definitely an enthusiast platform, but what is it? What do we go with? X299 or X399? What are we doing? Looking forward to seeing all you guys out there that do these benchmarks and compare these price to performance, and we see what's out there. And for all you miners out there, I'm thinking with the 64 PCI lanes, scoop this thing up, slap all of the Vega cards you can in it, and have a good time. And thank you for watching. Sorry, this is just me reading off a website's. I don't have one. I probably won't get one, and if I do, it won't be anytime soon. But I will be building a new system here shortly, so if you want to come and watch, I will build this. I will make a video of it. I will explain some things. It's building a PC. What can I say? Anyways, okay, so this is Dustin. I'm Dustin. This is with Tech Lifeline, and I'll see you.